Korea has blown up its joint liaison office with the South on its side of the border. The move comes just hours after the North renewed threats of military action against the South. The office near the border town of Kaesong was opened in 2018 to help the two nations to communicate. Joining me now is Douglas Herbert, our international affairs commentator. Douglas, what exactly is this building that the North apparently blew up, and why has it chosen to do it at this particular moment in time?
Annette, I'll take the first part first because it's much easier. The office is, as you said, it was created shortly after a summit in 2018 between the North and South Korean presidents, in which they basically pledged to try to avoid all hostile acts and setting up this liaison office, essentially a communications gateway between the two sides, paid for by the South, but based on northern soil, was not just a symbolic act, but also a practical and a functional one. I'll note that it had been closed, according to the South, since January of this year due to the coronavirus pandemic. So no one from the South, presumably from the North, was based there at the time the building was blown up. So we can perhaps presume it was empty. We don't know for sure. Why is more subject to speculation. Blowing up, look, we've gotten warnings in recent days. The North said it was ready to deploy its troops, the army to the DMZ, the demilitarized zone between the North and South. We also knew that it was not too happy, to say the least, with defectors from the North who had gone to the South, regularly sending leaflets, propaganda, anti-North propaganda leaflets and flyers via balloons and drones over the border into the North, not just with leaflets, often with $1 bills, with USB sticks, with news and South Korean dramas on them, and with other types of things like food and other materiel. So the North was upset about that, but there's also speculation that generally they were trying to put pressure on the South, perhaps, to restart joint economic projects at a time when the North's been struggling a bit, its economy, and also upset at the state of the nuclear talks with the U.S. No progress there. They're completely stalled, stalemated since the last summit between Donald Trump and Kim Jong-un broke down in Hanoi in March 2019. So manufacture a crisis, perhaps, put a little bit of pressure on the South, tell the South to butt out of its talks with the U.S. and to see if anything progresses.
Doug, tell us a bit more about the woman who had warned such an action might be imminent, and that, of course, being Kim Yo-jong.
Yeah, Kim Yo-jong is Kim Jong-un's younger sister. And she's the one who has become more and more prominent, more and more visible and influential. She was the only member of the Kim dynasty, really, to have ever visited the South. She did so during the 2018 Winter Olympics. She has risen steadily in the state apparatus. She was formerly a propaganda agent, and now she is believed to be on the Politburo. So very powerful positions, but most importantly, she is a close and trusted ally of her brother. Some would even believe, some North Korea observers, that she could be being groomed to succeed him. Even though North Korea, a woman and a young woman, that would be a highly unusual and unprecedented move. But the fact she is a Kim, part of that dynasty with the bloodlines you need to justify leadership, that could perhaps work in her favor. She's very powerful, and she's the one who explicitly had warned in recent days, calling the defectors human scum and warning that we could be seeing a, quote, tragic scene near the border. So this is perhaps that tragic scene that she had warned about.
Very briefly, Doug, how is the South responding?
It's basically saying uncle right now. It's bowed to the North's demands to crack down on these defectors who I said earlier are sending these propaganda leaflets over the border. It is now filing a police complaint, the South, against two of these defector groups. The defector groups, meanwhile, say they continue very much with their plans to imminently send more flyers, more leaflets over the border into the North. They are not deterred by any of this, leading human rights groups to accuse the South of basically playing the North's game and bowing too easily, that the South is basically, in the name of trying to have better relations with the North, is basically flouting its commitment to uphold human rights and, more importantly, free speech, and that these flyers do indeed represent free speech, and that the defectors should be allowed to continue their activities, and that's what they say they're going to do.
Doug Herbert, thank you, as always.